Welcome to the EPG Pathshala program. Myself Meenal Katarnikar, Associate Professor from the Department of Philosophy, University of Mumbai. We are discussing the module on Upamana Pramana, the question of its reducibility to Anumana. As we have seen in the introductory module on Pramanas, Upamana is one of the Pramanas that are accepted in the general Indian tradition. It is true that it is not accepted by all the systems of Indian philosophy. It acquires an important position in the two main systems, Nyaya and Mimamsa. These two systems accept Upamana as the independent Pramana, though with different versions. So in this module, we are going to see the nature of Upamana Pramana as expounded by the Nyaya system, as expounded by the Mimamsa system, the differences between them, the criticisms against them, and the possibility of reducing Upamana to Anumana. So let us first go to the general introduction to Upamana. Upamana is generally conceived as the knowledge through similarity. When one thing which is the object of perception is similar to the other thing which is the object of memory, the resulting cognition, which is based on the cognition of similarity, is generally called as Upamana. So similarity is the base of Upamana Pramana. It is very surprising to see that different accounts of Upamana Pramana generally refer to one stock example as the example of Upamana Pramana, and different conceptions of Upamana refer to the different versions of the same story. So let us first see the story and then go to the expansion of Upamana Pramana. Suppose the knower wants to know about an animal called Gavaya, which the knower does not know. A forester who is a trustworthy person like Apta, he says a Gavaya is similar to a cow. Eventually, the knower goes to the forest and comes across an animal which is similar to a cow. Perceiving that animal, the knower remembers the description given by the Apta that Gavaya is similar to a cow, and immediately recognizes the animal as Gavaya. As I mentioned earlier, this is the stock example. Now let us go to the Nyaya view of Upamana, which gives a particular version of this story. The Nyaya logicians define Upamana as the instrument of Upamiti, that is, the resultant knowledge based on analogy. Upamana, according to the Naiyayikas, is the knowledge of the denotative word-object relation, Saudhnya Saudhni Sambandha Jnana. So, similarity is the base, but the resultant cognition is the cognition called, this is called a Gavaya. According to Nyaya, Upamana is a complex cognition which passes through the three stages as follows. First stage is Sadrushyadhi, that is cognition of the resemblance. After listening to the description of a forester, the Apta person, the knower goes to the forest, comes across a Gavaya and cognizes the resemblance of the animal, that is Gavaya, with the cow which the knower already knows. Second stage is Vakyartha Smruti. Once the cognizer or the knower comes across Gavaya in the forest, he or she immediately remembers the directive statement of the forester saying about the similarity between cow and Gavaya. On the basis of these two cognitions, there arises the knowledge according to which the animal which is in front of the knower is a Gavaya. So This is called Gavaya, is the knowledge based on analogy. This is the Nyaya version of Upamana, and according to them, on the basis of similarity, there arises the knowledge of the relation between the object which was not known before and the description of that object given by the apta person. It can be said that perception and verbal testimony supported by the memory of the authoritative statement are the foundations of Upamana according to Nyaya system. Even though this account of Upamana Pramana is acceptable to all the Nyaya thinkers, there is a difference between the older and the modern Nayayikas about which can be called as the defining feature of Upamana. According to older Nayayikas, the descriptive statement of the authoritative person is the main cause and the cognition of the similarity between the perceived and the remembered object is the supportive cause. While according to the modern Nayayikas, perception of the resemblance between the perceived and the remembered object is the main cause and the memory cognition of the directive statement is the supportive one. As we know, there is no reconciliation between the views, and with these differences, the Nyaya view of Upamana is established. This view is criticized by many systems, and there are some obvious reasons for this. First of all, Upamana is not accepted by all the systems of Indian tradition, and naturally the systems which have not accepted Upamana as a distinct Pramana have criticized the Nyaya view. First of all, the Charvakas criticize the Nyaya view on the grounds that only similarity or dissimilarity without any universal concomitance cannot be the ground of such knowledge. No doubt we can have some cognition based on similarity, but here we are talking about a pramana which is supposed to give us certain cognition or infallible cognition, and only similarity is unable to give us the certain cognition. There is the element of subjectivity in the Nyaya account of Upamana. This is the criticism of Charvakas. Sankhya and the Vaisheshika systems try to explain Upamana as a form of inference. They try to construct the Anumana or a syllogism having three elements on the basis of the above story, and they try to show that the cognition which is claimed by the Nayayikas as the cognition based on analogy is nothing other than the cognition based on inference. So they try to reduce Upamana to Anumana Pramana. Buddhists also criticize the Nyaya view, but they have the criticism based on different grounds. On the count of Buddhist metaphysics, there is no possibility of the knowledge of word-object relation for the two consecutive pariyas, and therefore technically they do not accept Upamana as a distinct Pramana. Unlike the Sankhya and the Vaisheshikas, they do not construct any syllogism, but they argue that the Pramanas like perception and verbal testimony, which are acceptable to the Nyaya view, are enough to explain the cognition which the Nayayikas are claiming as the cognition called Upamana. So there is no need to assert the distinct Pramana for the knowledge of the word-object relation. Perception and verbal testimony will take care of this kind of cognition. In summary, these systems try to show that the cognition based on similarity or the cognition called word-object relation does not require the coining of a distinct pramana like upamana. And moreover, there are some shortcomings in the nature of upamana pramana also. Let us go to the Mimamsa version of upamana. Now we know that the stock example is the same. The definition given by the Mimamsakas is as follows. The knowledge of similarity of an object with its analog, which brings about the cognition of similarity to the present object of the analog, which is not in contact with the senses. Mimamsakas generally describe the resultant cognition itself as upamana. That is, unlike Nayayikas, they do not differentiate between upamana as the pramana and upamiti as the resultant cognition. According to them, upamana and upamiti is one and the same. What is the version of Mimamsa expansion of upamana? When the person goes to the forest and comes across the animal which is similar to a cow, he perceives the two similarities. On the basis of memory, he perceives the similarity, he rather cognizes the similarity between the cow, which is the object of memory, and the gavaya, which is the object of perception. This memory leads to the cognition of similarity between the gavaya, which is the object of perception, and the cow, which is the object of memory. So, to say it in another words, from the cognition of A is similar to B, there arises the cognition B is similar to A. Now, A is similar to B is the cognition based on memory, and this cognition of similarity based on memory leads to the cognition of another similarity, which is a matter of perception. So, according to them, upamana is the knowledge of similarity between the remembered object and the perceived object. This view of Mimamsakas is criticized by specially the Nyaya and Vaisheshika thinkers. According to them, this version of upamana or this account of upamana is nothing but a memory, and there is no need to call it separately as upamana pramana. From one memory we are going to just a matter of another cognition. There is no need that we talk about some special kind of knowledge to explain the knowledge which is based on memory. If for cognition B is similar to A, an independent pramana is coined, then there should be pramana for each of the cognitions, such as this is dissimilar to that or this is identical to that, and so on and so forth. Wherever there is comparison and wherever there is the relation between the object of perception and the object of memory, there will have to be the coining of a separate pramana, and therefore Mimamsa account of upamana is inadequate and not completing the necessities of epistemic requirements. Moreover, Kumarila's justification of upamana in terms of practical utility is also criticized. Kumarila has given justification giving the examples from the Vedas about the yajnas, and this is indicating to the practical utility of upamana, arguing that if upamana is not accepted, certain statements in the Vedas would be inexplicable. But this is very negative kind of justification and not accepted by the Nyaya and Vaisheshika thinkers. These accounts of upamana lead to one important question. Can upamana be reduced to anumana? Because the cognition that is explained as upamana can be presented in the form of a syllogism. Let us see this possible syllogism. The first statement of this syllogism: All animals similar to a cow are Gavayas. Second statement, this is an animal similar to a cow. Conclusion, therefore this is a Gavaya. Now this syllogism has twisted some of the elements of Upamana Pramana. As we can see, the statement of a forester, namely Gavaya is similar to a cow, is not a statement of Vyapti, that is invariable concomitance. The Nayayikas argue Upamana is possible without the knowledge of invariable concomitance and not reducible to Anumana. In a way they are correct, because the statement of the reliable person, that is Aptavachana, is not at all a statement of invariable concomitance, and in the absence of the invariable concomitance there cannot be the construction of syllogism, there cannot be the obtainment of Anumana Jnana, and therefore there is no possibility of reducing Upamana to Anumana Pramana. There is one different version of this kind of cognition that is found in the Jaina epistemology. Jainas articulate Pratyabhijna as a synthetic cognition depending upon two conditions, perception and recollection. Perception apprehends the present datum, while recollection cognizes the past datum. Pratyabhijna is that type of cognition which compounds perceptual and recollective datum, resulting in altogether different kind of cognition. This cognition is not purely perceptual, because the object of this cognition is not just present, but it is the present qualified by the past. This type of cognition is not purely recollective, because unlike memory, the object of this cognition is not past and distant. This is a different kind of cognition which synthesizes the previous and later modes of the cognition, and therefore it is a compound type of cognition which comprehends either identity or similarity or the difference or even the word object relation. This is more in scope than the so called Upamana, which is accepted by Nyaya and Mimamsa. From the previous discussion, it can be seen that even though there are attempts to reduce Upamana Pramana to any other form of knowledge, these attempts were not successful. There cannot be the construction of syllogism for the cognition called Upamana, and therefore one has to say that the distinct object and the distinct nature of the resulting cognition apparently allows the status of irreducible cognition, that is pramana, to the Upamana. But at the same time, the subjective element that is very obvious in the cognition called Upamana is the main obstacle in giving it a status of pramana. So with this limitation, the thinkers from the Nyaya and the Mimamsa tradition accept Upamana as a distinct form of pramana, while because of this limitation, the other systems in philosophy do not accept Upamana as a distinct kind of pramana. For the more details of this pramana, please refer to the write-up on Upamana Pramana, and for the original arguments for and against Upamana Pramana, please refer to the reference list that is provided. Thank you.